Hey.
Hello.
You are so timely. You follow that rule of professors that if you want to be on time, you're early, and if you're on time, you're late.
I'm just always worried that I'm going to have technical issues last minute. So I always try to be early to my Zoom meetings too, just in case.
Yeah, well, you're really smart. And then some of the other ones, sometimes I'm not really paying attention because I'm not like you. And I try to hop on and it's blue jeans and I have to download it, or some other WebEx or whatever something I don't have.
Right. Also, it worked out good for me one time when I was trying to get my organization through the Georgia Tech student review committee or whatever, and they went through there was like 20 people there and each one of them took like 15 minutes, and they went through by order of who arrived, and I was first.
Nice.
So I left after 15 minutes. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna just keep on showing up.
That's a really good benefit. Good consequence.
And it was on a Saturday, so I got to just enjoy my day.
Yes, awesome. All right, I'm going to put you guys in as a host. Hold on, let's see. I'm gonna make Hillary and Lydia co-hosts, and then I'm going to make you, Katie, the host. So that means I think everybody still has all the same. It just means, Katie, you could trump anybody with anything, which I don't think you need to do, but if any of the three of you got booted off, everyone else would be able to keep this going. Okay, so now all of you guys will see anyone that enters and you can let them in. And I have no rights because now I'm not a host anymore. So you can see up at the top left that it's recording. So we're good on that. If you hover your mouse over the screen, you'll see at the bottom, you can see the participants, you can see the chat button. I don't think there's really a reason to share your screen. If it stops recording, I don't know why it would, but if somebody hits stop record, you can just hit the record button again at the bottom. And that's it. And everybody else should see the same screen that you're seeing. So are you ready? Yay.
Yeah.
Good. Hillary, are you going to be able to pull up your, there you go, video? Awesome.
Oh. Hi there.
Your hair looks good.
Thank you. It's not, I don't look like a wet dog anymore.
Difference in morning and afternoon. All right, well, after this, if somebody wants to just text me when the last person jumps off, then I can enter back into this and then we can just debrief for a few minutes afterwards. So my number is 585, or you can email me. I'll be at my desk, but text is best. 585-943-8699. And we'll just do a quick debrief and then anything else we can follow up on tomorrow in our meeting. But all right, so text me, call me, email, whatever, if you have any questions. There were a couple people that called. Karen Chassero is not going to make it today. Wade Clemens, he's going to call in first. He's on his way somewhere. And then as soon as he gets to his location, he'll video in. So he should hear everything. And Samantha Chang might be a little bit late. She was prepping some students for their AP exam. They asked for some extra help, and you can't really turn that down. So I think that's all. Oh, and Emily Strickland, she was signed up, and she had a death, and her grandmother died. So she's helping with her grandfather with something. So she's going to jump in next week. So next week.
Oh, sorry. Do you know how many people we're expecting total?
Yeah, they should be on the invite. Are you able? Let me check.
Oh, I just didn't see it, I guess.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that today? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 were invited, but 1, 2. 2 are definitely not coming. And I think Caleb Fontaine is going to come next week. So that's a third. So a max of 10 today. But if you open up the invite, I think you can see it. Usually I check tracking and you can see who's accepted. But for some reason, most of the teachers, like 90% of the teachers, don't accept or reject Outlook invites. I have no idea why. It's more of just an industry thing. I mean, we use it all the time, but anyway, so the tracking isn't really helpful in terms of knowing if they accept it or not, but at least you can see the attendance list of who you're expecting. Are you able to see that?
I'm looking for it right now.
Okay.
I think I could see it in the invite. Yes. You want me to share my screen so y'all can see that real quick, or?
I can see it.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm going to hop off then and leave you guys to it. I'm excited. Thank you so much.
See you in like an hour.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye. Should we wait like a minute or like 2 minutes to let everyone in so they're not just one person we have to make small talk with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's best point right there. Okay. Are y'all ready?
Would not make small talk with like one random science teacher.
Are you feeling excited, Lydia?
Yeah, I guess. I'm just hoping I don't like trip over my words or something.
No, you'll be fine. And you look cute.
Thanks. I'm always my worst at this time of day. Like, I'm such a morning person. We'll see.
Like your function just gets worse over the course of the day.
Yeah, it really just like plummets.
I think I reach my highest point of function like from like noon to 3. So like I like go up, and then after that point I'm just.
I would say like 10 to 12. You've got me. And then it picks back up at like 5.
I just never want to like work in the afternoons. I'm like, but it's so pretty outside.
Okay, we only currently. It's 4:30 and we only have 2 people in the waiting room right now. Should we let them in or should we still wait? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We can give it a few more seconds and then.
Okay.
Like a solid 4:31.
Yeah, and then we'll be like, hi, we're just waiting for a few more people to join us. And if no one else joins us, I don't know what we'll do because you can't really have a focus group with 2 people. It'll be like an interview, I guess.
Like that sample size is just not.
Yeah.
I really hope it's not that few. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and let them in because I don't want them to leave the game.
Yeah.
Solid, yeah. Hello, welcome.
Hey.
Hi there.
We're just gonna wait a minute or two to start, make sure we get everyone rolling in. Hello. We're just waiting for a few more people to roll in before we get started. Hopefully that should be in the next few minutes.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, I just want to say thank you for being here and taking some time out of your afternoon to do this focus group with us. I think we're just going to start off with some introductions. My name is Lydia Wiederholt. I am a public policy undergrad at Georgia Tech. I'm going to be part of the evaluation team, helping evaluate the Rural Teachers Training Initiative. I'm here with Katie and Hillary.
Hi, you guys. My name is Katie. I'm also a third year at Georgia Tech. I am a history and public policy major, and I'm just going to be taking some notes for us today.
Hi guys, my name is Hillary. I'm also a third year history and public policy major at Georgia Tech, and I will be in charge of the chat and moderating the chat today.
Great, thank you. So just so everyone is kind of familiar with who's in the room, I think we can all go around and say some introductions. Just to make it easier on everyone, we can just go in the order available on the participants list. So we don't have to worry about who's going next. But can you please just say your name, your organization or school district that you represent, what you teach, and what you're most looking forward to about June, or the craziest thing that's happened to you in this past year?
My name is Samantha Chang. I teach at Jefferson High School, which is in Jackson County. I currently teach biology and AP biology, but I'll be adding a forensics course next semester or next school year. One of the things I'm looking forward to in June is just having some time to catch up, catch up on my curriculum, clean up my room, spend some time at home, just doing some fun things for myself.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Hello. Okay.
Yes,
Hey,
we can hear you.
Miles. Holder of useless knowledge. I think it says on there. That's been my moniker for a while now. So I teach at Villarica High School. I'm finishing my 26th year of teaching. I still love it. COVID has been really hard on me this year, like super hard, harder than I thought it was going to be. The stress level is I'm ready for everybody to get their bloody vaccines and let's go back to normal. So what am I looking forward to this summer? Hanging out with my granddaughter. I'll be playing with her as often as I can. She's a little over a year old now, so yay. I am going to be an AP reader for the 6th year for the environmental science class. Next year, I'll be teaching more biology. I'm never going to let me quit teaching biology and AP. That's me.
Hey guys, I'm Scotty Ann Benton. I work at Jasper County Middle School. It's my 6th year that I'm finishing up teaching 7th grade biology. So it is a fun experience all the time. For June, I'm looking forward to the same thing as you guys, time to reset, but also time to get ready for next year.
Okay, I don't see a list that we're going off, but I'll go next because why not? My name's Pamela Parks. I'm with the Georgia Youth Science and Technology Center. I'm the STEM support specialist located at Lanier Technical College in Gainesville. And what I teach kids and teachers. We do virtual field trips as well as adult trainings. And what I'm looking forward to in June is taking my grandsons to the beach.
And I'm Lynn Larson, and I also work for GYSTC. I'm in the southern part of the state. I am the Director of Strategic Initiatives for the organization. What I'm looking forward to in June is retirement. I am retiring as of June 30th. I've been doing, this is my 31st year. So I've been with GYSTC about 20 of those years. So it's been a long, great career, but my daughter's graduating from high school and is going to college in Tennessee. And I am wanting to be able to go and see her when I want to. So that is my plan.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for sharing. We really appreciate it that you're here today to give us some feedback on the Biotech Infusion training. And also thank you for keeping your cameras on. It just helps us facilitate discussion. So now I'm just going to talk a little bit about our purpose today and our rules for the rest of the focus group and how it's going to go. So today our purpose is to gain feedback on the rural teacher training initiative. We would like to determine if it's worthwhile and how to make it the best it can be in the future. This is an opportunity for everyone here to expand on feedback you provided in the survey at the end of the training and address anything that wasn't mentioned in that survey or discuss general and specific thoughts on the Biotech Infusion training. And then just for some rules, this is going to be about an hour, so hopefully not too long out of your day. So again, thank you for being here. As with any discussion, please allow the person before you to finish their thought before you start. And just so you know, this session will be recorded, but it's only available to the evaluation team of me, Katie, and Hillary. We're the only people who will see this. Everyone at the Bioed Institute will not have access to it or can view it. So feel free to give us your honest feedback and just let us know what you want to know. Let us hear all your honest truth. No one will see it, and any kind of identifiable information will not be available to the Institute staff or master instructors. All the information gathered here today will be aggregated by me, Katie, and Hillary, and then handed over to the Institute staff. So before we dive into questions, does anyone have any questions for us about the procedures or the ground rules? All right, great. So to start off today, how has the Biotech Infusion affected your training? How has the Biotech Infusion training affected your teaching? This can include the virtual training series, equipment and supply assistance, the Google Drive for resource access, master instructor support, or the use of the GroupMe.
Well, I'll speak a little bit to that. Pam and I had the opportunity this morning to participate with our GYSTC team on a statewide field trip that was initiated through one of the lessons from the DNA extraction that was from, and it went well. They did provide they provided the materials to all the schools that we used, and I was not in charge of that. So I don't know how many people were actually involved in that. But as far as getting the materials, it was easy access. Lesson plan is actually one that we actually had already, we just replicated it. But as far as getting the materials and that kind of thing, very easy.
So, hey, this is Stephanie. So what I liked about the training actually was how we were bouncing ideas off each other and how it became kind of a collaborative effort to sort of help each other do stuff. That's always my favorite part of any kind of a teacher training workshop, is when the teachers get to kind of work together. I think it's nice to learn new things. Like, you know, I've been around a while, but I still have stuff I can learn. And so it's nice to learn more about pipetting. And the that filter, the Kool-Aid filter one, was pretty cool. And I actually shared that with a physical science teacher so that she could do it with her students, because I think it fits more with physical science than biology. As far as equipment goes, I love the fact that they're so helpful and that they're so willing to go out of their way. You know, if I could recommend any kind of change in it, it would be to be able to get some of the bigger items delivered to us, because it's an hour and a half drive for me. And so that's kind of hard for me to do during the school day.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
Oh, thank you. You mentioned collaboration. Was there anything specific that helped you collaborate, specifically like using the GroupMe?
What were we doing? It was something with Trisha Peterson. We got to talking about something, and then we kind of went off on a tangent. Before we knew it, like we were discussing something different than than exactly. And I think it was like the mole calculations or the concentration calculations. Like I feel like she went out of her way to help us do that. And so like I really like that part.
Thank you. Are there any other thoughts on how this has affected your teaching?
Well, I was going to add, like, as a follow-up to the group me, I know there was like some of the teachers had already implemented some of the activities like right after the training, and so they had uploaded photos of like the results and how they had made some modifications, and several people did share that on the group me in terms of like, here's what we did, here's what like one person did something with chlorophyll extraction using the filters as well. So we did it, but they had taken it, and next week they had shared how they had extended it, and they shared all the photos for that on the group me. So that was nice.
Having actually participated last year and this year, because our organization is involved with it, I liked the virtual lessons better than the in-person, because you had the time in between the lessons to think about it and work on it. And it wasn't as rushed. The one lesson that they did where they had two activities in one lesson, I thought was a little confusing, because you started this lesson and then you went back and then you went to this lesson and then you went back. And I really liked having it focused on one activity each time, and the week in between to prepare and those kind of things. So I actually like the virtual better than the in-person.
Yeah, and I didn't attend an in-person, but I can say that I was thinking the whole time that it does work out very well for this particular thing to be virtual. And you could come back because in between what was happening is people are posting on that group me, and they are working through it on their own. So then when they come back together, you're talking about the pictures you saw on the group me, and you're I guess more inclined to talk to each other and go out and say, here's some alternatives that I did, that usually you don't get into that when you're in person and just kind of moving through each of the activities quickly.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone. We'll move on to our next question now. So the essential skills and competencies covered in the training are lab safety, aseptic technique, pipetting, solution dilutions, chromatography, and gel electrophoresis, and DNA extraction. What are your thoughts on these essential skills that we covered in the training? Would you like to see them changed or updated in any way?
Well, so I've had very limited success with the gel electrophoresis. I would like to be able to walk through it again with somebody, or like face to face. So I agree with the virtual stuff, but it sure would be nice to have somebody on hand showing me exactly what I'm doing wrong, or to have a conversation with me, because, you know, it worked about 30% of the time. So I really struggled with that. What was the other stuff? Oh, aseptic technique. That was pretty cool to get better at that. And then the serial dilution. I actually do that with AP, and I've never felt really, with my AP environmental, and I've never felt really confident in doing it, but doing that lab, like, that helped me feel a lot better about it.
I'll say the lab exchange, the simulation that we did for lab safety, changed my world. Like, that is something I'm going to continue to use because it's awesome. Like, having kids go over lab safety can get kind of boring or old hat, at least from the teacher's perspective. So having this virtual world that you could put them in that was so accurate was a wonderful resource to know about.
Are there any other essential skills or competencies from the training and the lessons that you would want to incorporate into your teaching?
Could you repeat that question again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course. Scotty Ann just said that she would love to incorporate the lab safety technique that we covered in the training again. Is there any other essential skills that you would want to incorporate?
I know for me, for the forensics class, I want to incorporate like all of them, like, you know, like having them actually do those skills in their kind of like figuring out who done it kind of thing. So, I mean, I plan to use probably all of those techniques with that particular course. And I did like having that module piece because I think that's one of the things I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to do that with every kind of like as an intro, like you have to pass this module before you start touching this expensive equipment. You have to show that you know how to do some basic pipetting and you know what the parts are before you start, pipetting this, $70 piece of equipment, that all these 9th, 10th, 12th graders are going to be touching because they've never used it before. And whereas with us, some of them have used it or we know it's expensive, so we're more mindful, but kind of like making sure that students sort of pass like a practical or understanding some basic skills before they're using some of this type of equipment. So I kind of like, yeah, I'm going to do this lab safety skill module first. You got to pass it, you get certified for it, and then you can move on to like the next skill that we're going to work on.
So kind of going off of that, do you have a plan or have you already implemented a lab from the training? And if so, is there any suggestions on if the Bioed Institute could do anything differently that would make it easier to implement these in the future?
So I'm actually doing the pipetting one this week, and when we did the training, I didn't think about this, but then when you have the 30 students in front of you, you start to think about a lot of other things. So when we, I don't know if y'all remember, but when we did the practice, we had those little cards. That was the pipette practice card. And that card is designed for the P20. And the activity is the P200. So like I requested the cards and requested the micropipettes, and then when I got them, I realized like this wasn't going to work out. Do you know what I'm talking about? It just, so now I have the cards and I have a micropipette that won't actually, can't be used with that card, if that makes sense. So it's minor, but I was wondering if they had the practice cards for the P200s. So then I could have requested that, and it would have been really helpful for them to practice with before they got to the picture activity where they're making the picture in the well plate.
I think that's wonderful. That's a great insight.
Kind of following up with that, and maybe someone can answer this, like on the drive, and I don't know if they may have mentioned it in the training, but I mean, that might be a good place where, if we kind of follow through on that, like, hey, go on the drive, because I have a template for it that I found online. I think that might be a good use of the drive, something or somebody to kind of ensure follow-up, like within cohorts or, different cohorts where, hey, look, every year, people are adding new things to the drive, such as a template for the P200s, or here's a protocol that I modified for this activity that was done at the training, but here's an extension or addition to what we did. So I think that might be kind of a nice thing to have, where you could just look and find something like that.
I definitely agree with having everybody start adding resources to that Google Drive, because I think even this week, I made a worksheet where they're practicing reading the display window for the different ones for the P20, 200, and the 1000. And I was like, I was kind of proud of it and thinking some of you guys probably had already made that and I could have, used it. That would be nice.
I'll take yours then, since you made it.
Well, so on top of that, just to sort of piggyback on that, I've been, my suggestion would be that we would send it, anything that we want uploaded, that we would send it to Megan or Kristen and let them be in charge of putting everything on there, just as a clearinghouse. And then maybe if we don't leave the group me, maybe they can send us a message, hey, new resources coming your way. Or you could just, do you think we could just put the link in the group me, or do you guys want a Google Drive that we can access. Which do you think would be a better idea?
I think adding it to the Google Drive we already have, but you're right about sending it through Kristen and Megan. That way it stays organized and doesn't just get flooded with random things.
Thank you. Are there any more thoughts on implementation, or we can move on to our next question? Okay, so I'll move on. Solution prep, including reagents and making and diluting solutions, is an essential skill. Did your training address this at all? And if so, was it adequate?
Yes, it addressed it, but I'll say I don't know if it was like a 10-minute recap or 15 minutes that Elizabeth did on the last day helped to concrete it in for me. So even though we'd had a whole session where we had talked about it, it was great to step away for a week and then come back and have a quick review and feel like, okay, I know how to do that and feel confident in it.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. It was nice to have the serial dilution brought back around, because we didn't know what we didn't know until we started thinking about it. And then when we came we had more questions. And then so I was in Trisha's room and she was like, yeah, here, let me show you this. And we did a couple different examples. And it was like, okay. Because we had time to mull it over and then we could come back to it. So I like the ability for us to be able to circle back. And, like I said earlier, it was helpful for me in, in a different manner from what we did. I was able to apply it elsewhere in my AP classroom. So that I'm very thankful about that part of it.
And it's not so much that you're learning how to do it, because most of us probably already, for the most part knew, but it's having Proctor and Trisha present it in a way that's so easy to grasp that you're like, okay, I can explain it to my kids that way and they'll get it, just like that too. Was cool to me. Having new ways to present it very simply.
Well, I think it's almost like modeling, like, I'm teaching it to you as you're my students. So not to assume that you do or don't know, but like, this is how I'm presenting it to my classroom. You're in my classroom. Here's how I would set it up. Here's what I would put together. Here's what I would have ready. So I like that aspect, because it's different when you're doing it yourself and you're having to teach people to do the same thing.
Right, agreed. And it didn't hurt having the prizes either. That didn't hurt.
All right, thank you. For our next question, did you have any kind of wow moment during the training or during the implementation?
One thing I liked is, I do a lot of bootleg labs anyway, so I liked getting that do-it-yourself electrophoresis kit, because I've seen it like out and about, but to actually have it and be like, oh yeah, I can build this. And that was really cool too, because it was if I can coordinate with the STEM teacher and the engineering class, like we could probably make a class set of something like that, and to actually have gotten one, and to be able to use. So like knowing that you can do these electrophoresis labs without having to buy the expensive version of it, was really nice to see.
Yeah, I'd never done the electrophoresis before. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and it was nice to see how to make them. Like, I've heard how to make those kits before, but I've never actually created one successfully for myself. So yeah, that was, I agree. I like that part too.
While we're talking about materials, are there any materials or equipment that you've received from the Georgia Bioed Institute so far that have been helpful or not helpful? I know we kind of mentioned the like pipettes and the cards earlier, but has anyone else had any situations like that?
I've received some goggles that I've used with the class.
Great. Well, I guess we can shift gears a little bit. Have you made any plans to take your students on a field trip or bring a professional into the classroom after experiencing this training? Or do you think you'll use any of the guest speaker recordings in your own classroom?
So I probably wouldn't use the recordings in my classroom. Are you talking about the trainings that we did to use the trainings in our classroom? Is that what you mean, Lydia?
I believe there's like speakers in the speaker recordings in the Google Drive.
Okay. So no, but I am definitely going to I'm definitely going to go on field trips. I've planned one for next year already to go to the Chattahoochee River Keepers floating classroom at West Point. So I'm going to go ahead and cross my fingers and say we're going to be allowed on field trips next year, and I've planned it. So y'all think happy thoughts for me.
So first, Stephanie, that's exciting. I'm happy for you. I wouldn't use the actual recordings, only because there was a lot of interaction. I felt like, in the recording itself, where we were chiming in and asking questions. So I wouldn't show that to my group, but there were a lot of things that were discussed that I would do in my classroom. Like when we were talking about the biodegradable straws, like you believe I went out and got some and put them in some dirt in my classroom. So,
Ooh, how did it work? Because I planned on doing that, and then I never got around to it. So what happened?
Well, it is not completely gone yet, but we are enjoying watching it. I'll have to take some pictures and upload it.
I would love that, because that is on the plan for next year to start it at the beginning of the year. And I'm also going to get like a bag of hot dog buns and put those in, like, don't open them, and then put them in one of my cupboards. And then we'll take it out once a month and never open them, but look and get the kids to record the changes. Right? Wouldn't that be cool?
Yes. Yes. Just like the McDonald experiment. Sounds good to me. Yeah, I loved the speakers, but I wouldn't use the actual recordings.
So I will tell you on the McDonald's thing, just to sort of share with you, somebody went and took a normal homemade hamburger and did the same experiment. It looked pretty much the same as the McDonald's one did. So, that's nice. It's always great to have open source, or, the other side of the story. Just because you say it doesn't mean it's bad. So, that would be a cool thing to show them, and then to back up with somebody else who said, well, I wonder if that's the whole story. I think that's a good thing to do. Or heck, we could do that ourselves. I mean, we could just get a couple clamshells, get a burger from the lunchroom, get a burger from McDonald's, bring in a burger from home, and then see what happens.
So I know you mentioned that you don't want to share the actual recordings with your students, but is there any takeaways from these speakers that you would share with your students or that you already have? Especially general takeaways in regard to the careers in the life science industry?
I do know I want to incorporate more like careers into, like, when I'm teaching sciences, and kind of like there are lots of different paths to some of these careers, and including, I think, industry might appeal to a broader range of students, because I think a lot of my students think, well, if you're going to do something in science, you're going to have to work in a lab at the university. And so like kind of having like this person works, does field research, this person is breaking down plastic, so I think being able to talk about like almost like industries that doesn't have to be super academic in order for some of these students to pursue is something I'm going to try to do more with. And in talking about some of the kinds of technologies and jobs, especially like the plastic one really stood out to me too, because they are fairly local for us, and that's something that our students can definitely relate to, or at least local to me, because I'm in North Georgia.
I really enjoyed the speaker that also could talk about COVID and some of the answers about the vaccines and all, because it was very real life and very in the moment type stuff. I thought that was real effective.
So I really like the guy who did the water treatment, the guy who worked for the water treatment company, and how it was geared towards research, but that they also worked with the municipality there to actually get better at treating water. I think that's really relevant. And I thought he was pretty simple to understand, but I have kids. We're in a Title I school, and those kids don't have a really high vocabulary. And so if they would, you know what I mean? And so if they would say, okay, so I need to gear this towards a 13-year-old, and it needs to be 15 minutes long, and it needs to be, here's what I do, here's why I do it, here's what you need to know to be able to do it. What do you guys think of that? Like I really like what that guy had to say. And I asked him, like, can I come see you? Can you come see me? And so that's going to work well into in AP and maybe biology if I can figure it out. But if I like the idea of having the videos geared towards the teacher, but then if they can, and I don't know if they can do this or not, but if they can do a 10-minute segment, 5-minute, 15-minute segment telling a high school student, hey, here's what I do, here's what you need to know how to do, and here's what you're going to do if you come work with me, and here's what you can expect for money, here's what you can expect for a future, right? Would that be something that you guys think is beneficial?
Thank you. Is there anything more that you wish was offered, like that example with the speakers?
What I just said about having a short video geared towards a student, because one of the goals of this is to get our students ready to walk into a career, or at least the beginnings of a career. And so if we had something geared towards the student at the student's level, then I think that might be beneficial.
Thank you. Would y'all say that overall the training was worth your time?
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit more for us? Maybe like a specific example.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was helpful. Yeah, I definitely thought it was really helpful. I mean, I like that everything kind of came in a kit. It was ready to go. It was well laid out. You knew exactly what you need to do. You also had the resources that you could then just use that and copy and use for your classroom. So it definitely was very helpful, very well structured to make it easy for me to use those resources if I want to extend it to my classroom. So I thought it was very helpful. And I liked, like I said, the way it was kind of laid out and presented in a way, like, here's how I would set this up if you were going to be teaching this skill to your classroom. I'd have this ready. I'd have this concentration made up. Maybe even to the extent of having everything already like pre-bundled. Like, I like that idea, especially with COVID. It was like, we're not going to have 15 people go in and dig out the same container, but planning ahead And so I think that was a great way of having it modeled. Like, you already have all these aliquots of what you need. You can have little stations and they just pick up a sample. And so the way that they had it laid out and organized was really helpful to see. And so that was definitely beneficial for me.
I noticed a lot of people really thought this was a worthwhile thing for their time, and it has a lot to do with it being very easily accessible to students and being able to share this information with your students. Is there any other reasons why you think this was so worthwhile?
It gave you new ideas for things. I know we had done the DNA extraction, but we have done it with fruits that were hard to mail. Lena and I were talking about this morning, that it was nice to have the wheat, because the wheat, we didn't have to worry about getting fresh fruit to one of the classrooms doing a virtual field trip. We were able to mail it. So it gives you different ideas, different variations on labs you may already be doing.
And kind of to echo that, kind of to echo what I think it's your name, Pam, to get kind of to echo what the last speaker was saying and what Stephanie said. I think the collaboration, that what maybe was intentional, maybe wasn't, but kind of naturally happened, helped out quite a lot. It's very helpful to me.
So I'm going to be Captain Obvious. Like, Title I school, don't have a lot of money. I had $100 last year to spend on materials. We're the biggest school in the county, but I had $100. So it's really nice to be able to say, okay, I'm going to do a lab. And by the way, I have the materials for it too. So it's really nice to be able to get those materials. I mean, many of them are simple, but it's nice that it doesn't come out of my pocket. And the fact that we can get materials to borrow from them for some of the higher ticket items, I think that's wonderful. So I think a real benefit to it is the fact that we can get the stuff to do the labs.
Well, thank you. Just a few more questions. For the teachers who have implemented any lessons from the training, have you noticed a change in interest on your students' behalf in regard to an interest in science or a hands-on lab, just general engagement?
We had a couple hundred students on this morning, and they were really well behaved. I was very surprised. They were engaged and behaved and did really well, I thought. Lynn, you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, this is probably one of the larger field trips that we've done. Our organization's been doing virtual field trips this past year every Thursday morning. So this was just one of the ones we incorporated into that. It's probably one of the largest ones that where the kids were all in class, for one, which was a really good thing. None of them were virtual. And they were very, very engaged in what we were doing. I mean, we probably had 30 plus classrooms in with us today. So it was well organized, and we modified the lesson plan to meet the needs of the kids. We got the materials from Georgia Bio, and then we implemented it, and it went well. It did. The teachers enjoyed us instructing them, and we're very pleased with the way it went as well. We had some really cool feedback on it. So,
and I know they sent enough materials that the teacher that was in our class this morning, he has probably 4 other classes, and he got enough materials to repeat it with those other classes. So it is mushrooming, which is really good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Is there anything not covered in the training that you wish was covered? If not, that's cool too. I'm glad that it covered a lot. And I would say this is our last question for today, but what is your ideal professional development? You can dream as big as you want. Is it technical skills, mentoring, relationships with other teachers, a kind of certificate you can get for completing the course or training? What is your ideal development to obtain from the training?
Well, I think one thing that we've heard throughout the entire meeting today is that people really liked being able to collaborate with other teachers. And so having that time to do that is very, very beneficial. And also being shown new skills and how to do the activities is very beneficial. And then the third thing is having the materials to take back with us, to have it ready to implement. That's really nice.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I like professional development where I have some tangibles, like I have a lesson plan that they've like provided, and some some how-tos, some instructions. I do like the collaboration piece, but I definitely like when I go to a professional, I want to have something concrete that I can take away and that I'm going to do this, as opposed to here are some theories. You should engage your students in hands-on discovery. You go figure out what those examples are, and you get the resources that you need to make that happen. So this is very concrete. Here's what you can do. Here's how you do it. Here are the supplies to do it. How many classes do you have, so we can make sure each of your classes can do all those activities. To me, that's like a really big part of the professional development piece, because I can find stuff online, but then I've got to put all the pieces together and I got to figure out how to fund it. Then I'm less inclined to want to do that in my classroom. So that's what I like from the professional development. I like having very concrete takeaways that I have in front of me. And I've got this huge binder now with all my notes and all the examples and pictures. And so that was definitely, like, to me, more important than just sort of like the philosophical parts of some of the professional development that I go to.
Well, thank you. Before we wrap it up, oh, sorry, you can go ahead.
I know the only thing I was going to say, the one thing that might be missing from it all is an evaluation piece for each one of the lessons, like pre and post test. So like quick, easy way to assess that the students know what we're talking about, where they are before we teach it, after we teach it. So that might be something that can be addressed or added.
Thank you. Are there any other final comments or suggestions that anyone would like to share before we wrap it up for today? Well, if not, thank you so much for giving us an hour today, and I hope you enjoyed the training at the Georgia Bioed Institute, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.
I removed her.
Okay, how did y'all think that went?
I was actually surprised about how easy that went.
Really, I felt like I was just like talking through bullet points.
No, it was. I felt like it was very natural.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And I also
'Cause
thought
I don't
about
want to be rude because like you can't like be like, oh, that's a great point. I'm just like, thank you. Like moving on, you
No,
know?
you didn't seem rude. You didn't seem rude at all.
Okay.
And I think that there are some great common themes that we can pull out even now, even though it was just one group. I'm excited to see if those similar sentiments are reflected in the other ones. But as far as reporting back to her, like I think we have some pretty good stuff. I'm gonna have to fix my transcript because it's very messy, but all right, I'm gonna shoot her a text unless
Okay.
either of you guys have.
Well, I'm glad y'all thought that went well. I was like,
No, you did
ah.
a great job.
Yeah, you did a good job as moderator.
Thank
And
you.
we like encouraged them and like successfully like got them to elaborate, which is like kind of hard. Just
I'm also glad that they like bounced off of each other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that one woman, Stephanie, she was like really encouraging the conversation, just like asking what other people think.
Agreed.
All right, I'm texting her now.
Okay, good.
I remember at first I was like, oh my God, are we not going to get through the questions? And then it ended up being like so fine.
Yeah. I also skipped the Google Drive question because we really talked about that at the beginning. I felt like enough and it didn't really need to be brought up again.
Yeah, they talked about the drive and they talked about the group me.
Yeah, I think everyone actually spoke about the online platform a little bit at the beginning.
It seems like the Drive has potential. They just really want like a collaboration outlet.
Yeah.
And they kind of seemed indifferent about the group me though.
They did mention using it like for in other questions though.
Yeah, that one lab that they were talking about, they had already. Hello.
Hi.
Hi there.
How did it go?
Very well.
Good. Were they talkative? Or
Oh yeah, it was great. Everyone really bounced off each other too, which was very helpful.
that's a nice thing. That's what I love about focus groups. It just it spurs people on. Well, good. How many people ended up coming?
I think we had 6.
Okay.
And everyone contributed pretty equally except for one person who wasn't like incredibly talkative. So that's a pretty good rate to me.
Yeah,
I also think it was the guy who was driving. So I think he like spoke up when he could, but he was just kind of there.
Yeah, it's definitely, he asked if he could do that. And I thought, it's better than not getting his input at all. So yeah, it's fine. Okay. So what would you say went well? And what, did you find anything that you would do differently next time or that you need differently from my end?
I thought it went fairly well. We found some like common themes they just kept elaborating on, which was nice to kind of pick up on those already with just one group. But I would say like
some of the same points, especially about like collaboration and whatever.
Okay. Did they feel like there was enough collaboration or that was a part they appreciated or?
They really appreciated having the virtual format, I think, because it allowed a lot of break and a lot of time for other teachers to work through it. And then they could use the group meet and just like time to talk with each other in between as a way to like bounce off ideas about implementing the actual like projects, which I thought a lot of them seemed to be like in accordance that like this was almost better virtually because it was like a slower pace and it gave them more time to like process the information and like actually implement it rather than being rushed through all the labs.
Awesome. Okay. So having one per week as opposed to like a full day or 2 full days or something. Okay.
I enjoyed it. Oh, sorry. Go.
It just seemed like they really enjoyed that because it kind of facilitated a time to reflect on what you'd learned and then also for there to be collaboration, then for you to talk directly with the teachers that had implemented like labs or whatever in the week, go ahead and hear the feedback, So everyone liked it. And the only complaint about it being online was just with like one particular, I can scroll back and find it, but with one particular technique that she thought wasn't completely transferring online, but that everything else, it actually like facilitated the process.
Okay. I wonder what that was. Okay. Oh, I can actually stop the recording. Let's see.
It was one of
I can't stop it.
Electrophoresis.
Yeah.
She said
it was kind of hard to do virtual. We want to follow up, right?
I think they all said like it only made sense like a little bit of the time, like it was only working somewhat of the time. So they really wanted like an in-person or like a consultation where they could go and ask more direct questions about why it wasn't working.
Yeah, like someone who could like watch and like tell them exactly what they were doing wrong.
Yeah. Okay, so that's really interesting. So a little background, one of you guys will have to stop the recording. I don't have the rights.